My family spent all my money on a vacation. Without me, Lucas story. For a whole year, I took care of my family financially. Figured it was just my responsibility. That is, until I found out they used my hard-earned money to take a vacation behind my back. My name's Lucas. I'm 27 years old, and up until just last week, I thought I was being a good son. Maybe too good. I was always the one stepping in when things got tough. Rent too high? I paid it. Car broke down. I handled the repairs. When my younger brother and sister needed help with school expenses, guess who wrote the check? I never said a word about it. I figured, hey, that's what family does, right? But this past week, I learned something that changed how I see my parents, and I do not think I will ever be able to look at them the same way again. It all started a little over a year ago. My parents were drowning in bills. They were falling behind on their mortgage, and the lights were close to being shut off. My dad still had a decent job, but my mom had not worked in years, and they were just plain bad with money. Every couple months it was something new, a broken appliance, a hospital bill, whatever, and every time, their eyes turned to me. At first, I did not think much of it. I work in tech. I make decent money. Not rich or anything, but I get by fine. And I had grown up watching them stress over every dime. So I figured, why not take some of that burden off their shoulders? But after a while, helping turned into obligation. It stopped being a question. No more, hey Lucas, can you help us out this month? It became straight up instructions. Lucas, the rent's due next week. Just send it to mom's account like usual. No discussion. No gratitude. Just expectations. Like I was some kind of walking bank machine. I let it go for a while. I kept telling myself, it is for their sake. If this keeps them from losing their home, so be it. But the more it went on, the more it wore me down. The entitlement. The lack of any thankfulness. And it really hit me when I realized my younger siblings, both in their 20s and still living at home, were not contributing a dime. My brother was always out with his buddies, wearing new clothes. My sister had this skincare routine that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill. And here I was, footing the bills to keep a roof over all their heads. Eventually, I started setting some boundaries. They did not like that. One time I told my dad I could only cover half the rent for the month. He did not get worried or disappointed. He got angry, said I owed them for raising me, that it was time for me to pay them back for all they did. That line stuck with me, and still, like a fool, I sent the full amount. Then last week happened. I was just texting with my sister, having a regular chat, when she casually mentioned the resort. I asked her what she meant, and she went quiet. A minute later, she wrote, "Wait, you don't know?" I told her, "No, I don't. What are you talking about?" She never answered after that. That is when I started getting suspicious. I called my mom, no answer. Tried dad, went straight to voicemail. Called my brother, nothing. I texted my sister again, "Where is everybody?" "What do you mean, resort?" That is when she sent the photo. It was all of them, mom, dad, my brother and sister, sitting poolside at this luxury resort. You know, the kind you see in fancy travel brochures. White sand beaches, private cabanas, tropical drinks in hand. They were all smiles, sunglasses on, looking like they did not have a care in the world. I just stared at my phone. I scrolled back through the messages from mom. Just 3 days earlier, she told me they were struggling again, worried about covering rent. And yet, there they were on vacation, without me. I do not even know what word fits. Betrayed? Embarrassed? Furious? Maybe all of it. I waited a few hours, trying to calm myself, and then I called my mom again. This time, she picked up. She sounded annoyed, like I was bothering her. "Lucas, I can't talk right now. We're having dinner," she said, and I heard them laughing in the background. I tried to stay calm. "Where are you?" Silence. "What do you mean?" she said. "I mean, where are you? Because it looks like you're not struggling to pay bills at home. Looks like you're on a fancy vacation, paid for with my money." There was a long pause. Then she sighed, like I was a child throwing a fit. "We needed this trip, Lucas. Things have been really stressful. You do not understand what it takes to keep this family together." I almost laughed. "I keep this family together, Mom. I pay your rent, I cover your bills, and you didn't think I'd find out." Then her tone changed. "Do not be so dramatic, Lucas. It was just a small trip. A little break." "A little break? This is an all-inclusive resort. You told me you couldn't even afford rent." That is when she said it. The words that completely broke something in me. "We didn't tell you because you would have ruined the mood." I was gripping my phone so tight my fingers hurt. Excuse me. You've been very negative lately, she said. Always complaining about money. We didn't want that energy. We needed to relax. I did not even know how to respond. Then she added, trying to make it sound like some kind of peace offering. Look, we'll make it up to you. Maybe next year you can come with us. But this trip, this one was just for us. I sat there, speechless. Then I hung up. I did not reply to her follow-up texts, either. Not the half-hearted, don't be mad, or the guilt trip ones like, after everything we've done for you. I just let them sit there, unread. That night, I laid in bed thinking about every time I bailed them out. Every overdraft I covered. Every time I said, it's just money, they're family. But it was not just money. It was about respect, and they clearly had none for me. The next morning, I woke up to a dozen missed calls. My dad had joined in by then, sending short, angry texts calling me immature and telling me to grow up. Mom's texts were softer, trying to smooth things over. But neither of them ever said they were sorry. That was the moment something inside me shifted. I was done. I was not going to argue. I was not going to ask for an apology. They knew what they had done, and they did not care. So I decided to make sure they would never be able to take advantage of me again. So I stared at the message I had just typed out. It was sharp, cold, and every word of it had been a long time coming. You cut me out when it suited you. Now you're broke, scared, and suddenly I'm important again? Spare me. I don't owe you anything. I'm not your ATM. I'm done being manipulated. Maybe next time you book a luxury trip, plan for what happens after. Good luck. I hovered over the send button, sneering. Then I tapped it. Sent. 30 minutes later, my sister messaged me. What did you say to Mom? She's crying. Then came my brother. Dude, you went too far. And finally, my dad. Now, this man had never asked me for anything directly, not once. But he left a voicemail, and I could hear the fury behind his calm tone. Listen to me, Lucas. If you don't fix this, there will be consequences. I played the message twice. Consequences. I almost laughed. They still thought they had that same control over me. Still thought I'd bend if they pushed hard enough. That was their last mistake. Because this time, I wasn't just walking away. I was going to make damn sure they could never come back into my life again. I ignored Dad's message. Carried on with my day like nothing had happened. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. They'd never let go that easy. They couldn't stand not being in control. And I was right. The next evening, I heard a knock on my door. Not gentle. Not patient. Angry. I took my time walking over and checked the peephole. There they were. Dad looked like he could explode any second. Jaw clenched, fists tight. Mom had her arms crossed. Face twisted like I had personally betrayed them. Part of me wanted to let them stand there, stewing in their self-made misery. But I figured, nah. I wanted to finish this. I opened the door, leaned against the frame. What do you want? I asked. Mom's face immediately softened. Lucas, sweetheart, please. Let us just talk. No, I cut her off. Say whatever you came to say, then leave. That's when Dad stepped up. You think you're a tough guy now, he snapped. Ignoring our calls. That disgusting email? After everything we've done for you. I raised an eyebrow. Everything? You mean feeding and raising me like literally every parent should? The bare minimum? Mom gasped like I slapped her. How could you be so ungrateful? Ungrateful? I laughed. I paid your rent for a year. Kept food in your fridge. Made sure you didn't end up on the street. And what did you do with the first bit of breathing room? Went on vacation. Without me. Now you're back. Because you want me to clean up the mess again. They said nothing. I stepped aside. Come in. They hesitated, shared a look, then walked in slowly like I might scream. I didn't. I closed the door and calmly walked to the counter, grabbed a folder, and laid it on the coffee table. What's this? Dad asked. Bank statements, I said. Every single payment I made for you. Every dollar. Just so we're clear. Dad didn't even glance at it before scoffing. So now you're keeping score? Yes, I said plainly. Because I need you to understand something. I owe you nothing. You're not entitled to a single dime. Mom's voice got soft again. Lucas, please, we have nowhere else to go. For a moment, I felt that tug, pity. But then I remembered her words. You would have ruined the mood. I looked her straight in the eye. Maybe you should have thought about that before making it clear I wasn't part of the family. That set Dad off. You selfish little brat, he shouted. You're sitting here in your cozy apartment. Good job. While your family's struggling and you just cut us off? Yeah, I replied simply. Mom covered her mouth like she might cry. Dad shook with rage. Then suddenly, he stormed forward and smacked the folder off the table. Papers flew everywhere. I didn't flinch. He wanted a reaction. He wasn't getting one. I met his eyes, calm as ever. "You done?" I asked. He chuckled bitterly. "You're gonna regret this, Lucas. Mark my words." I tilted my head. Was that a threat? He didn't answer. Just sneered. I stepped forward, voice cold. "Get out." Mom's face broke. "Lucas, please. Get out." For the first time, my dad looked unsure. But finally, he grabbed Mom's arm and pulled her toward the door. "You better hope you never need us," he said, smirking. I smiled right back. I never did. And now, I never will. I opened the door. They hesitated, maybe thinking I'd changed my mind. I didn't. They walked out. I shut the door, locked it, let out a long breath. I should have felt peace. But I didn't. Something told me they weren't done. And I was right. A few days passed. Silence. Then, out of nowhere, my sister texted me. "Hey, can we talk?" I rolled my eyes. My sister had always been the one saying they're just stressed, or they didn't mean it. But I replied anyway. "About what?" A few minutes later. "Mom and Dad. They're really upset. Can we talk?" I sighed and set my phone down. I didn't want to think about them anymore. Still, something made me answer. "What do they want now?" She replied quick. "They've been calling me all day. Dad's furious. Mom won't stop crying. They said they're sorry. Really sorry. Can't you forgive them? Just once?" I nearly exploded. "Forgive them? You've got to be kidding me. I've been their bank for a year. They didn't even think to include me on their little trip. Now they want help again? No. I'm done." She kept pushing. "Please. They didn't mean to hurt you. Mom knows she was wrong. She's devastated." I ran a hand through my hair. I didn't care anymore. "I'm finished," I typed. "They can figure it out. I've done enough. I'm not doing it anymore." No reply for a while. Then my phone rang. It was Mom. I let it ring. Then it rang again. I picked up. "Lucas," she said, voice shaky. I didn't mean for it to go this far." I stayed silent. "You're right," she said, crying now. "We've been awful. I treated you terribly. I expected you to carry it all. I was wrong. You don't owe us anything. You never did." It was everything I'd wanted to hear. But it meant nothing now. "No," I said. "I don't owe you a damn thing." She went quiet. "We're sorry," she whispered. I could hear her crying. But I didn't feel sorry. Not anymore. "I've made my decision," I told her. "If you're really sorry, then leave me alone." Silence again. Then, "Please, Lucas, don't turn your back on us. Don't abandon your family." I shook my head even though she couldn't see me. "I already did. You just didn't notice until it was too late." And I hung up. I thought that would be it. But later that night, I got another voicemail. From Dad. "Lucas, you crossed a line. You're not just cutting us off, you're destroying our family. You think this is over? It's not. You're gonna regret this. You'll be sorry. Just wait." I stared at my phone. I could have listened again, savoring the rage. But I didn't. I deleted it. And then came the call that would change everything. It wasn't from my parents. It was from my brother. And the first words he said chilled me to the bone. "Lucas, be careful. This is bigger than you think. They're planning something.